You think the way you laugh is yours. The small exhale before the real sound, the way your hand lifts toward your mouth, the exact word you reach for when something catches you off guard. But the real answer is far stranger than ownership. You did not invent almost any of it. You picked it up, piece by piece, from the people you stood closest to, and nearly all of that copying happened while your attention was pointed somewhere else completely. Watch yourself the next time you talk to someone. When they lean on the table, notice how long it takes before you lean too. When they cross their arms, glance down at your own. When they drop their voice to tell you something quiet, listen to yours fall to meet them. You are not deciding to do any of this. Something older than your decisions is doing it for you. Psychologists have a name for it. They call it the chameleon effect, and the people who named it built one of the cleverest experiments in modern social science. In 1999, two researchers named Chartrand and Bargh sat ordinary volunteers down in a room with a partner. The partner looked like another volunteer. The partner was actually working for the researchers. An actor, planted in the room, given one secret job. Some of them rubbed their face the entire time. Some of them shook one foot steadily for the whole session and waited to see what the real volunteer would do. The volunteers had no idea anything was being measured about them at all. And yet, when the researchers counted the footage afterward, the pattern was impossible to miss. The people sitting with the face rubber rubbed their own faces more. The people sitting with the foot shaker began shaking their feet. Nobody asked them to. Nobody noticed they were doing it. When questioned afterward, not one of them could say their partner had any particular habit at all. Their bodies had been listening, even when their minds were not. So where does a reflex like that live? Why would a brain copy a stranger's foot without asking permission first? Part of the answer turned up by accident in a lab in Parma, Italy, in the work of a neuroscientist named Rizzolatti. His team was studying the brains of macaque monkeys, tracking single cells that fired the instant a monkey reached for a peanut. One day, a researcher reached for something while a monkey simply sat and watched, and the same cell fired. The cell that lit up when the monkey grabbed the food also lit up when the monkey only saw someone else grab it. They called these mirror neurons. A mirror neuron is a brain cell that does not draw a clean line between doing and watching. To that cell, seeing an action and performing it are nearly the same event. Think about what that means for you. When a friend winces, a slice of your brain quietly rehearses the wince. When someone across the room yawns, the machinery for your own yawn switches halfway on, and half the time you lose. You are not observing other people from a safe distance behind your eyes. You are running small silent copies of them inside your own head every minute you spend near them. And copies leak out. This reflex starts earlier than almost anyone guesses. In 1977, a researcher named Andrew Meltzoff leaned over newborn Barbies, some of them only hours old, and slowly stuck out his tongue. On camera, again and again, the Barbies appeared to push their own tongues back out at him. No language, no mirror they had ever seen, no idea they even had a face. Before these infants had a single word, before they had anything you would call a self, they were already trying to match the human in front of them. You came into the world copying, you simply never stopped. Here is the part most people get backward. They assume copying someone is a sign of weakness, a lack of personality, a failure to be your own person. The science points the other way entirely. Copying is the glue. A Dutch researcher named Rick van Baaren spent years testing this in restaurants and laboratories. In one set of studies, servers who repeated a customer's order back word for word, using the customer's exact phrasing, earned far larger tips than servers who just said coming right up. Same food, same smile. The only difference was the mirroring. The customers could not have told you why they left more. They simply felt, somewhere they could not point to, that this person understood them. In other experiments, people who had been gently mimicked turned kinder afterward. They helped pick up dropped pens. They gave more to strangers. They reported liking the person across from them more, and they had no idea anything unusual had happened in the room. So the reflex is not noise, it is a signal. Mimicry says one quiet thing under everything else. It says, this one is like you, this one is safe. this one belongs near you. Does that change how you think about every conversation you have ever had? Now here is the twist that turns the whole thing strange. If copying is how a body says it belongs, then the moment you most need to belong should be the moment you copy hardest. And that is exactly what the research found. A psychologist named Jessica Lakin, working with the same Tanya Chartrand from the chameleon study, ran experiments where people were quietly excluded, left out of a simple game of tossing a ball, ignored, made to feel, for a few short minutes, like an outsider. Then each of those people was placed with someone new. The excluded ones mimicked the new person far more than anyone else did, not less. Maury, being rejected did not make them shrink away into themselves, it cranked the copying up. Their nervous systems had registered a threat to belonging, and they answered it the only way an ancient social animal knows how to. They reached, without a single word, for sameness. You have felt this, the new job where you found yourself laughing at jokes you would never have laughed at alone, the group you badly wanted into, where your slang shifted inside a week. You were not being fake. You were doing the oldest social repair there is. You were trying to make yourself readable to people you were afraid of losing. This is why your own voice will not hold still. Listen to yourself on the phone across a single afternoon. The voice you use with your grandmother is not the voice you use with your closest friend. The speed changes. The accent leans. The words you reach for bend toward whoever is on the other end of the line. Linguists who study this, following a researcher named Howard Giles, gave it its own name. They call it communication accommodation. Your speech drifts toward the people you want to be close to and away from the people you do not, and you are almost never aware it is happening while it happens. Pull up your text messages and look. See how you write to one friend, then to another. One gets the lowercase, the dropped punctuation, the one specific emoji. Another gets full sentences and a period at the end. You built a slightly different version of yourself for each person you care about, and you built every one of them by absorbing the person on the other side. And it runs deepest with the people you actually love. Sit near a couple who have been together for 20 years. They use the same odd words. They tell stories in the same rhythm. They make the same small joke about the same situation, and they finish each other's complaints before the sentence is done. People say couples start to look alike over the decades, and there is research suggesting that a lifetime of mirroring the same expressions, the same frowns, and the same grins can slowly bend two faces toward one another. That is the chameleon effect stretched across a whole life. Because the copying does not only borrow a foot tap for one afternoon in a lab. Over years, the people in your daily orbit quietly become the raw material of your habits, your phrasing, your humor, the way you handle anger. The things you have decided, without ever deciding, are simply normal. You are not choosing your personality out of empty air. You are slowly averaging the handful of people who stand closest to you. That is the quiet weight underneath all of it. So look honestly at who fills your hours. Look at the voices you let near your ear day after day after day. Because some part of you, the part that kept listening while your mind was busy elsewhere, is already practicing how to become them. You will not feel it land. You almost never do. You will simply wake up one year holding a gesture, a phrase, a way of seeing, and you will believe with your whole heart that it was always yours. Is it though? So go back to your laugh. That exhale before the real sound. Somewhere there was a person who laughed exactly like that first, and you were near them, and the cell that fires when you laugh fired while you only watched, and it stayed. The word you reach for when something startles you sat in someone else's mouth before it ever lived in yours. You are a record of everyone you have stood close to, written in small movements you never once agreed to keep. You thought the way you laugh was yours. It was theirs first. You just loved them enough to catch it.